Let's speed up a bit. So you're not in the replay, so let me actually just add on a Discord stream as well so that things look a little less chaotic, because there's always still a delay. I'll be honest, my head is deeply scratching at both comps.
Battle begins in 1.
Like, the enemy team is a bit weird. Your offlaner starting top lane. You have 2 bruisers.
I know.
What I'm gonna predict is you guys eventually win.
Okay.
I might be wrong about that one, but we'll see. Exterminator as before.
I'm hoping I made some progress, but I'm probably making the same, so at least a lot of the same mistakes I imagine. It's not like I've ranked up a bunch.
I mean, the fundamentals are what takes the longest to get down.
Yeah.
And even players who are Diamond Plus still struggle with a lot of them because it's all about consistency. It's all about making the decisions quickly as well.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
One of the things I have trouble with is even making a decision. Sometimes like I become indecisive and kind of waste time not knowing what to do.
Let's see here. Looking at that, the camp timing is impeccable. It's could be a little bit faster, of course, but
Okay.
where you're going is right. Remember, most of the camps start from like the first minute, and especially the siege ones, their value is almost immediate. These guys, they're valuable because of their spell shield and because of their damage sponges. But that's a whole lot of free damage. That's a whole third of a fort before the first objective. That's more of that. Over here. Yeah, you guys are winning out on the gems. You know, I'm just waiting for, like, the pin to drop and something to go horribly, horribly wrong, because this game goes on for 24 minutes.
I know a lot of my games are like that.
I mean, the biggest problem at all levels is actually getting that finisher. Especially since they modified Chorus to do a lot more in terms of damage and status effects.
Oh.
Like, they became a lot more dangerous. Like, for instance, take Cursed Hollow. It's a minus 75 armor debuff. Basically, that means your health is cut into a fourth.
Oh.
It's insane. Yeah, like, if you get hit by that circle and the enemy team hits you, you probably die no matter who you are. Because you have about as much health as Abathur. So.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Let's see here. Looks like you guys are missing out on a bit of soak. That's fine. There it seems like you stood up and traded too much damage. That's a pretty easy mistake to make. And it's a pretty small one in the scale of things. As a general rule, if I'm going to stop a wave from crashing, I want to do it sort of like right in front of the gate. You can see my cursor, right?
Yes.
So sort of like from those dots. Like, just so that the minions can be in range of your towers, but so that you're as far away as possible from the enemy heroes.
Okay.
Like, if you're going to tank a minion wave, you best do it in a place where that minion wave is going to die fast. Because they do good damage.
They do.
First turn-ins, about in 6 minutes. Let's see here. What's the soak difference at this point? Interesting. Reval has actually been going back and forth between these 2 lanes and has taken more than you. But in terms of pure siege, yeah, you're doing better. Even though a lot of that siege isn't on your numbers, it's on the actual results created by the push.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It's sort of like, say, you know how Alexstrasza has that globe quest that
Yes.
just reset? None of those globes heals show up on her numbers, but She can actually get pretty high
Really?
hero throughput. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The one thing that's sort of a shame here, and let's rewind the clock on that one and move it slower, because it's sort of a blink and you miss it mistake.
Okay.
No, that's not far enough back. Is that? Probably not. So, when should you leave bot side from here? Right now?
Oh.
Or do you want to push it out yourself?
I should push it out myself since they're all in mid, maybe? I
Hmm.
think they're all in mid.
Hmm.
Is that a no? Do
Let,
I
let's.
rejoin team?
Yeah, you rejoin team here, but the logic of it takes a little bit to explain. But you do it a little. You don't rejoin team immediately, but you rejoin team the moment you kill this wave, because this is going to create a threat. It's going to kill this fort basically no matter what any member of their team does. But if you can get the push started here, if you can amplify it more, you can probably take down these towers and it'll go further. Plus, your presence there also means it's less safer for them to clear, because you have a Diablo that is, and an Imperius for the matter, that's itching to go in, that don't
Right.
necessarily have enough damage of their own. Wait, slow that down for a second. Well, let's see how it goes in. OBJ's here. Notice your current positioning. So, D.Va has to go up here because Vala is doing what Vala should be doing, which is splitting up and making sure that you guys split up as well. Because there's enough people here to clear, and it goes in. And while you guys are just running it down, because they basically follow you instead, they clear it for free. And Vala is here, clears it for free as well. So this lane that was already teetering on the brink, even if they send someone down there, just has too much resources for it. So really all you had to do here was clear the wave, send a on my way ping so that your team stays there, knowing that they're going to get reinforcements, and then you push it in, especially with Hyperion.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's something else I have trouble with, is knowing when to switch into like going with team.
Yeah. There's what is it? A lot of it is just a matter of what can you achieve together versus what can you achieve alone, and that is a hard analysis that takes work to master. I don't have any good answers or maxims for that one yet.
I see what you mean, because it's kind of intuitive.
Yeah.
With all the information you're taking in.
Yeah. But there is one thing that I can say. Generally speaking, whoever rotates first wins.
Whoever rotates first wins?
Right. Let's say it's a fight for a point on either Garden of Terror or Cursed Hollow, and you're the offlaner. Like, let's say it's both a Sonya with Leap. Whoever creates that 5v4 difference first can allow that advantage to spiral out of control. And the other guy will be playing catch-up, constantly trying to reclaim that difference that you've created. You created a difference here, and they don't really respond to it, but you don't sustain it elsewhere.
Right.
One of the things that I think is important is trying to get the other team to move to you, because basically every time you rotate, you miss out on whatever it is, whether it's 10 auto attacks, whether it's 5, it doesn't matter. Your rotation has a cost associated to it.
Right.
And part of macro is making sure that the other team pays a bigger cost for it, one way or another. So that'll be it. Took about 5 minutes to go through, and honestly, your team didn't do anything with it that you hadn't already done. Except for killing that Volo. That's actually pretty big. Holy shit, she gets 143 auto attacks. I see how this game goes on for a long time. Oh, no. Yeah, that is not your fault, by the way. That is you having 2 bruisers and a tank, and they're just going in.
Yeah, I don't know. If I remember correctly, it was just kind of weird, and I don't know why. Like, there wasn't really a lot of talking there in the draft.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad draft. Just
I was surprised because, like, usually it seems like people are scrambling to be DPS, so it was kind of funky.
Yeah, this is one of those weird games. And it's also important to note that it does create a limitation on your comp that if you're not there, there is no range.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, like how I should be playing with like a comp like that. I should probably be with, I imagine, team, or else like what are they gonna do?
Yeah. Might be worth shifting approaches then in this case to a hyper carry. This might be the perfect time to, I don't know, play Zul'jin or something and just ARAM. Because right now, you are providing extra macro, extra wave clear, extra presence.
When you say ARAM, are you saying like five manning it?
Not exactly. What I mean as in, instead of prioritizing hitting structures, you prioritize hitting people. Which is what the Volo's doing here. And I don't think Raynor is particularly a good champion for that. Well, let's look at the numbers here for now. They've died a lot more because they don't have a tank. They don't have any way to control their engages. But here's the problem. Your team's underlying damage potential is Imperious' burst, a little bit of D.Va's ultimate, Diablo's burst, and, you know, your Raynor damage, which is not that much. If your team comp had a mage or a marksman, you'd be able to kill a lot more of them. A lot faster. Basically, this Volo couldn't...
Which ones are the marksmans again?
So marksmans, as I see it, let's just pull up the list, because there's a few, like, Greymane and Volo, which are really obvious, but other champions...
Greymane's also a hyper carry, right?
Greymane is...
Is Volo a hyper carry?
Volo is the hyper carry.
She's the hyper carry?
Yeah. Well, take a look at what this individual's run. They have massive underlying increases to their damage. Like, it's a 1% times 10 boost every 50 auto attacks, and they've got 3 of those already. So that's a 30% increase at max hatred by now.
Oh my god.
And guess what? That gets multiplied by her extra 20 attack speed, which also causes her to ramp up faster on her trait, which means she does more damage because each stack ramps up faster. So, a Volo that doesn't die and just gets to hit people will do this much damage. Like, she's even managed to pull away from both the Kael'thas and Nova in terms of raw numbers, and both of those are really safe in comparison to her. It's partially because your D.Va is just spoon-feeding her stacks, but...
Yeah. Is auto attack, Volo always the way to go, or are there times where you want a Q build?
Q build is really good at racing, especially on Battlefield of Eternity.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
why not the auto attack one?
Because her Qs deal, like, I don't know, twice as much damage against NPCs. I don't remember the specific talent, but let me find it.
I didn't know. Okay, I see.
Where is it?
I didn't realize one of her talents does more damage, or the Q build does
I need to find it. So let's see here. Puncturing Arrow increases the number of bounces. What is it? It's Monster Hunter that doesn't a 150% increase. It's a level 7 talent, so you don't win races for the first 1 or 2, but it's really good at guaranteeing it, especially when you have repeating arrows, so you can just fire 2 of them off at once. pair it off with puncturing arrow at 1, and you're just going to do a lot of damage. That build is also sometimes good when you need to fill in a slot for, say, a mage. Like, I've actually seen it work once or twice where you
Because
basically just becomes...
it's
Yeah.
bursty.
Yeah, you have single target burst. Sometimes W build is good when it's a poke fest, but in general, AA and Q is the way to go. Otherwise, you draft something else.
Yeah, I've never heard W build be suggested.
Yeah. What else is there? Oh, yeah. Now here, what you're doing is absolutely right. Oh, no! So, think about it like this. What is the optimal response for your team here? Who is absolutely closest to dealing with bot side? You are. One of them can shuffle over here. You can shuffle over there. And really all you
should be taking the
yeah.
bot.
Yeah, because none of them can do it.
Right.
So you basically both should do a simultaneous shuffle.
I see.
Yeah. And that maxim is actually really simple. It's just a matter of pairing up the availability.
Oh, I got an ad.
Awkward.
Awkward. Sludge. What's this commercial for? Oh. Okay, this one's more obvious. It's insurance.
Okay. Anyways, where's my brain going? Okay, and they ran it down there. This is wonderful.
Okay, so Ball is a hyper carry. So hyper carry is hyper carry kind of synonymous with marksman, or just like all marksmen are hyper carries?
That's actually a funny question that I think most people will say. Most people will say the marksmans are the only hyper carries, but there are some. Cassia, Sylvanas, they're both kind of hybrids that do a lot of spell damage as well, that sometimes fill the role. I mean, there are some mages like Li Ming that sometimes you don't see a hyper carry and you see something else paired with them. But
what would you pair with them? Like another? Are you talking DPS or like a certain
Li Ming? I don't know. Like oftentimes having a marksman is too good to pass up because you want someone to clear camps and do DPS. But if I had to pick one champion that, well, two champions that are hyper carries but aren't actually marksmen, I think and are actually mages, I'd have to go with either Gul'dan or Nazeebo. They're both really weird champions. Like, Nazeebo, I don't know if you were watching the gameplay that I was running, is really annoying post 20. Because you basically just quadruple your damage with one quest completion. Yeah. Which, if it happens in this game, you might just lose. Gul'dan is weird because he just keeps on firing his Q until your team is dead. But he's got a really short range, so... Yeah, he's not that range. He's not that great, honestly.
Yeah, I noticed, like, I've watched a couple people turn in replays for their Gul'dans, and both of them had trouble being, like, say, too close to, like, tower, and just too close to everything. Honestly, I guess it's because this distance kind of makes it feel like you need to be super close to everything.
I mean, it's the delay on the Q, so it means that the higher you go, the harder it is for Gul'dan to do effective damage. Because people can sidestep.
The higher you go?
In terms of
ranked. Okay.
Because people's reflexes get better, they start dodging Qs automatically.
That's why he's not on a high tier.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, he has all of the shortcomings of a marksman. He doesn't really have good burst, at least there are better options than him. Mm-hmm. So he has the shortcomings of a marksman, and that burst is not so great. But he also has a lot of the shortcomings of a mage in that he's hit and miss, kind of dependent on abilities. So you can't just
Right.
hold down right click and kill a bunch of people, like what this Vala's doing.
Hey, I just want to say hello, and if you guys want me to leave, that's totally fine. Just popping in,
hey,
saying
Rift.
hi, seeing what's up.
Good to see you, buddy.
Hi. Likewise.
So,
Been a while.
Hello.
we are
Hi there.
going...
I don't think we've met. I'm Rift.
Hi,
Hello.
Rift. I'm Mockstash.
Yeah. We're looking over a game, talking fundamentals. So, what brings you here?
And my nooblet mistakes.
Oh, honestly, I didn't know if you guys were playing a game or clearly going over one or what. Just popping in, saying hi, seeing what's up.
Yeah. If you want to stick around, some of
Yeah,
it
you're
might be
more
useful
than
for you.
welcome to watch.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I've got a
thanks.
stream going.
I know I like watching other people's replay too, because like it helps me learn.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. I think, honestly, the biggest problem with this game is the fact that you're more or less filling the role of the flex DPS, which is to say the guy who handles a lot of the 4-man macro, which means that
Yeah.
there's no parallel to this Vala on your team. There's just two bruisers who are running it down, giving her way too much. Way
Giving
too
her-
much for free.
They're feeding her. Yeah.
They really
She's
are.
having a feast.
But the fundamental problem with that is more of just an underlying team comp issue, which is that, you
There's
know...
the team comp issue, and I feel like maybe I should probably have been with them more too, right? So that maybe we could actually kill her off.
Well, honestly, it feels more of a draft problem than anything.
Okay, so
Like-
there's no way to like really come back from that. You're just like, yeah,
Well,
just
you're
do that to begin
Well,
with.
your Raynor can't really substitute for a Greymane or a Vala in a meaningful way. The problem is...
Greymane, Vala. Who else are hyper carries? Or I mean, like marksmans.
Marksman hypercarries, I think very rarely you see Zul'jin. You can also see, sometimes, depending on the comp, Sylvanas or Cassia. Both of those
Oh, so
are
the
more
pick is-
mechanically Both of those are more mechanically difficult, though.
So are the only marksmen Greymane and Vala?
They are the head of the pack in terms of purity, but there's also
Okay.
Hanzo, but oh my
Oh,
god, he
yeah.
takes a lot of work to get good at.
Yeah, he is hard to play.
Yeah, especially with the scatters. Right. There have
With
been
what?
the scatter arrows, like the angled ones,
Oh, right.
getting those properly. But the fundamental issues with this, beyond the fact that you don't really bring much more damage than the Imperius or the Diva, it's your mobility. Like, this guy can just go in, but unlike, say, a Greymane or a Vala, you can't just follow him in with mobility or movement speed. Which means you kind of have to hitch a ride on Lucio and hope that Lucio knows to speed you up. Which is an unlikely thing. Let's see here. What are the talent choices? Giddy up. Feel the rust. Yeah. Everything's fine. I think I
Everything's
went
fine.
over that. Yeah. Talents are fine.
Okay. Yeah, I usually like picking Exterminator. The only time I don't is when my team captain tells me that he wants me to pick Ace. He actually usually doesn't like it when I pick Exterminator. I'm usually picking Exterminator on my when I solo queue.
Yeah.
But I know he wants me to do more hero damage.
Yeah. I mean, that...
But I don't know.
If he wants you to do more terror damage, I think you should probably look to learn another champion.
I was gonna
Because-
say I probably should just get better at like Vala. I've been trying to practice Vala and Jaina.
Vala is... How do I put this? Absolutely horrifyingly painful to solo queue with. Like, you basically you need to see, oh hey, the team has all the bases covered, now I can pick the Vala safely. Like, I cannot understand the people who willingly pick hyper carries in solo queue. That shows to me a sort of naivety and faith in other people that I cannot replicate.
Oh, that's interesting because, like, I remember someone trying to tell me I should solo queue as Greymane and I would rank up faster. But I'm really bad at Greymane, so I've just been still solo.
Now I wonder
queuing
who
as
said
laner.
that. That does intrigue me. Yeah.
Hero slain.
I mean, hey, you're developing the win condition while your team funnels in to a relatively unimportant fort, and yeah, that's just gonna get cleared out for free. I definitely think at this point you do need to be with the team. You don't really have any other options, otherwise your comp just doesn't function. But
Right,
being
right.
together isn't much better.
Really? Oh no.
Like I said, this is very much a Dreflin. I mean, look at this Vala. She's literally just hitting them and not dying because they actually have self-heal. Rainer, maybe some more damage. The Lucio's not entirely wrong, but at the same time, like, you're fucking dying horribly in mid lane.
I was
here.
having. That's another thing too. Is like, I was mostly in lanes too, trying to clear shit up. So of course
Yeah.
I'm not doing a lot of damage
Because
when
the
they're
Diva
letting me...
and the Imperious aren't doing their underlying jobs because that division of labor hasn't really been sorted out on this team. And that has to be sort of like a quick pass-off thing.
It's true.
Is
So
this
you-
a Storm League team or
This
like
is Storm League. It's
okay.
This is Storm League, and it was solo queue.
the
Okay.
depths of horror.
Yeah,
And
this
So
wasn't
there's
with
no like
my team.
investment in the other players in this.
Yeah.
That's really where my question was going. Okay.
Sorry, what?
I was saying there's no like investment in the other players' decisions in this because
Yeah.
they're just Storm League folks. Okay.
Yeah. They are the fodder. Oh yeah, and this Vala just keeps going. So, one of the reasons why I think Vala might not be a bad fit, Greymane definitely isn't, but Vala might be, is tempered by discipline. Like, it transforms you from someone who is squishy to someone who's squishy, but as long as you're playing properly in terms of precise positioning, can just keep going. Like, every time you give a marksman self-healing, they become inherently more dangerous.
That made me think about Phoenix, not from like a very like high skill thing, but you know, just got clear and can kind of mark.
I mean, Phoenix is actually a nice starter marksman as
Yeah.
well.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe worth trying.
Phoenix.
Plus, there are some interesting things you can do with Sam. Like an OBJ clearing on Praxis. Like, you basically time a planning cracker on the entrance of the enemy Zerg as it starts to go out, and you can kill like 2/3 of the wave.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And the other thing that's important about Phoenix is he's really safe because of the teleport and his shields. So, as long as you're playing within decent margins of safety, you should have plenty of escapes. Also, this Nova is running circles around your team. Holy shit.
Not the KT
But yeah,
Diablo Q.
no. Ah, this Lucio's really being alive. The thing I think that's really changed in these last few minutes is the death balling has actually helped you guys. Because here's one of the things I see as a tank main. It is my strong conviction that lethality, that is, the ability to actually keep someone dead, is almost always a combination of crowd control and damage. You need to simultaneously make them lose control, and then you need to turn their health bar off. And your team has crowd control.
Far off.
Yeah. The point simply being that it's a lot easier to do damage that will stick when somebody is where they don't want to be.
Oh,
And
right.
CCing them guarantees that they'll be somewhere they don't want to be in. So,
Okay.
even though you're not doing a lot of damage, relative to their Vala. All you need to do is what? 2,000 damage? That's about 2/3 of Vala's HP. Heck, you probably need to do less actually, because your bruisers can do that much as well. Oh, hey, and fuck, the Naz is stacked. Yeah, this game gets really hard, and I can see it going either way now.
Oh man.
Because Naz does so much damage.
He does.
With
He's such an end game
yeah.
hero.
I mean, I ran him
He's
twice,
late game.
and it's actually really well. At least I ran him twice and nice, and he's really easy to stack. Like, look at this man. Like that's basically like what is it? Why is this math hard? Like it's an extra 1,000 HP, give or take. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah.
Destro only gave him 1/3 of his HP. That's
Yeah. Yeah, this is
like,
really painful to watch because Kael'thas is garbage. However, there's one situation where he is sometimes on peer with other options.
Okay.
Double bruiser and tank.
Right.
This shit is where Kael'thas shines because all of your dudes are massive, which means their hitboxes are big, which means that bombs can easily just spread everywhere.
No, so we entirely draft for their Kael'thas to shine.
Yeah, pretty much. and this Nova is practically smurfing on your team when they're not, just sitting in lane doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be that hard to unstealth her and kill her, but your team has had difficulties doing that. And the Vala is still plenty strong enough that she can just solo the boss at will.
Wait.
Oh, okay, you probably could have saved him there, but who cares?
You said the Vala could solo boss?
Yes, she could probably solo boss here.
I didn't know Vala could solo boss.
It takes a little bit of good stutter stepping micro,
Okay.
but she absolutely can.
Holy cow.
Also, I don't think you could have saved him because you couldn't have wrapped around him in time. He was just out of position there. If he ends up flaming you, he's wrong.
Yeah, you had the idea to go save him.
But he's just too far out.
Yeah, I do like trying to...
Why are you blocking those shots? You would have had
I
to have done too. Oh my god, this is just... They go in without healer. This is... Yeah. So, what I would say that would really make things work for you...
This is going to give you an aneurysm.
What you should have done is played Zul'jin so that while your team is just throwing themselves as if they've got Russian commissars right behind them. Like, like, honestly, what you should have done is Zul'jin and, profited off of this mess. Because this diva has spoon-fed nearly 200 stacks to the Vala alone.
I do.
Uh-oh.
What?
Hey, you got execute orders value.
And bombs, goodness.
Yeah. Man, look at Naz's head HP. It's just ridiculous. Like, there's no way you guys can win this war of attrition because you just don't have the damage for it. So, yeah, that's GG, ain't it? Wait, how does this last another 2 minutes? What do they do?
Vala starts boss.
Did she get any help? She does, but she doesn't need it.
Oh, shit.
Allegedly, basically anyone can solo boss if you micro properly.
Really?
I've seen people do demonstrations of it. I can't do it, though, so...
In Rainer?
Possibly. I wouldn't know how to do it.
See, now I'm going to go and try to figure it out. Because I didn't even think that was a possibility.
Like, is Energy Spark still around? Because he...
Well, I think it might also be like certain bosses, like the Braxis one works for Genji, but Genji, I don't know if
Nobody
you can do it on the rest.
can solo the Braxis boss, not even Genji. He dies too fast. The Braxis boss is an exception to the rule because it does so much more damage.
Well,
Wind fan?
there's videos of it online. Yeah, you do
What?
it by like level 7. You get
What?
the shields.
Okay, there's
I've
actually...
tried it though, I can't do it.
I'm pretty certain they've nerfed most of the numbers that were involved in that but
Oh,
at this point.
maybe.
I'm pretty certain about that. I can't confirm it. I'm not a Genji player, not regularly.
It's not feasible. It's like cool to like see, but anyone who gives you that much time to just solo a boss at level 7.
Right. It's like you can technically do it, but
Yeah. But Genji, with the right talent, like it's a combination. No, it's literally just the level 7 that gives cooldown reduction on his deflect. That's literally all you need to basically give a free boss to your team.
Yeah.
Like,
Probably not the thing to like focus on, but it is fun to learn. I can't do it.
that's cool when people do cool things like that.
Rexar's kind of feasible on it though.
I have a question. Like, so, like, when you're taking down, like, what am I trying to say? So, like, you have your spider and your boss over here attacking core. Do you always attack them, or is there a time where you need to, like,
hit
try
enemy
to, like,
heroes.
Yeah.
It's a hard one. Like, every core defense is different. But basically, the logic that I always go through is what's dealing the most damage to the core at any given moment, and compare its HP to whether or not we can remove it. Like, basically, the priority goes something like catapults, ranged minions, bosses, sometimes marksmen as well. Take higher priority depending on how hard the enemy team is going, but basically it is. It's sort of the logic of triage. You take out the smallest but most bloody cuts first, then you work your way down to the slower but more fatal wounds. So a boss is one of those things that oftentimes is high priority, but because it takes so long to deal with, you're gonna have to deal with it eventually, but you should kill the smaller stuff first.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So again, I think the triage analogy is probably the best one. Let's see here. Actually, wait, are you actually online right now, or just browsing? Because I have been giving it a little bit of thought. How's your Sylvanas?
I haven't played her since they changed the queue to where you don't have to spam it anymore.
The dark lady.
I haven't played her in a
reason
while.
why I'm thinking about it is because it might have the right balance of tools. Because
Oh.
actually, maybe I should bring Squirrel in at some point because he's a much better Sylv than I have ever dreamed of being. I don't play DPS.
I am not a
The
fan
reason
of
why I'm thinking about it is
I don't play tank.
right
Well,
now
I tanked earlier, and it was not great.
tanking is hell.
It's really hard. And then I one-track minded more than usual tanking, and just all the macro stuff, I felt like it just got wiped from my brain.
And the worst part is you're not even good at the macro stuff on most tanks because you just can't actually feasibly do it. So the reason why I'm
Right, but I
thinking...
just kept forgetting that we needed to macro. I'm like, oh shit,
So-
we probably should clear that, huh? We should
So
probably.
here's the
do
reason why
this."
I'm thinking Sylph might be a good climber or potentially good balance. So Sylvanas has a lot of potential damage, has some kit utility that might make things a lot easier for your team. Like, because let's say, hypothetically, that your other DPS player is actually pretty good at getting kills. What that means is that you don't necessarily need to build yourself to be good at going in and getting damage, but judging by the Raynor game, yeah, you can still focus fire perfectly fine. All you really need to
I am
do
not accustomed to waiting.
is use Wailing Arrow to silence a healer on the backline and damage a marksman target. Hit the marksman target with Cold Embrace, and let your team finish up the blow up. Plus, Sylve has some other options like Will of the Forsaken and Bolt of the Storm. So there's lots of utility for survivability. But you also have Black Arrows, which means you have the ability to go in, get chip, and you have multiple talents, Possession and Unstable Poison, which are really good for wave clear and really good for split pushing. So it allows you to do both of the things you really want to do. It's just a matter of getting the macro and the micro down, like switching between those two modes. But
Right.
what makes Sylvanas good is that she's one of those champions that can switch between those two modes. The other option
Gotcha.
that might be worth considering, but I'd recommend it less, would be Falstad. Falstad has two really good builds, auto attack and Q. W build is a meme build. I only run in an ARAM. But with the global, you basically just need to keep your eye on your team, see what they're up to, and come in, create that 4v5 advantage way before the other guy does, whoever your opponent is, in lane. Go in with a gust, create an engage off of it by getting onto the flank or pushing them against a wall. And then you can let someone else take care of the problem for you because you put them in the enemy into your tank. The enemies into your tank. Those are the two that I recommend in terms of ranged DPS players.
That's if you're solo queuing.
Those are
saying,
both
right?
solo queuings, but Sylvanas is incredibly good and competitive.
Oh,
Because
okay.
Black Arrows can allow for some of the most
The Dark
ridiculous
Lady
tower dives on
watches
the
over
planet.
you.
Plus, her damage isn't bad, which means it can pair quite well with a good hyper carry.
Who else do you suggest?
Hmm.
Like what other DPS do you suggest learning for competitive?
Well, let's see here.
'Cause I'm trying to widen my hero pool.
Does your team have a Junkrat?
No, not usually.
That's another one that's probably pretty much essential.
Our other DPS, yeah, our other DPS, he usually does, let me think, Tychus, Orphea.
Yeah. Actually, what div are you going in? I never got that one.
What was that?
I don't know what div you're going into, so I don't know what to
I
expect.
assume, I think E.
Yeah.
We're bronze. We're bronze.
Oh, yeah. It's E or D then. Which, nothing wrong with it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I've never, I just started this year, so
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the divisions even were and
Yeah.
find answers online as to like how does that, what division would I most likely be in? Because I guess it's based on like
It's based
everyone
on
that
MMR.
enters in. Yeah.
So, let me see. I can probably find it from the website right now. Division E? Oh, come on.
They're pretty broad, like rank.
Uh,
The way they split it up, but
I'm trying to
yeah.
see if they actually put the MMR brackets in the historical ones. Doesn't look like it. That's unfortunate because those brackets do change a little bit from year to year, but they're pretty constant.
Okay, yeah, I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out the translation of the divisions
Yeah,
when
but
I first started.
I can probably do it fairly easily off the top of my head. Div B is typically plat to diamond with the occasional Masters player popping on one team.
Oh wow.
Like it's like one player typically.
Right,
A is
right.
consistently Diamond Master, and everything above A is consistently Diamonds into Masters, with some exceptions. The occasional Plat player is good enough to go on par, and the occasional Masters player just doesn't play and just goes to Plat because they decay. in terms of ranked. C is typically gold, plat. D, I've seen lots of gold, lots of silver, and E is probably just pure bronze. So D or E, assuming your team is a mix of silvers and bronze, is what you'd expect.
Yeah. I think we have a couple
Oftentimes,
of silver.
teams that have high performance in E, in any division for that matter, actually, like the top two, typically get a buy into the next division, regardless of what their MMR was.
Ooh.
So basically, the top teams of Nexus typically go into Heroic, and so on and so forth. The only exception to that rule is Storm, which you have to play the qualifiers for.
Right.
But the but the top team of Heroic, like the one that wins the finals, does get a free buy into Storm. However, that hasn't happened in a while because typically the top teams of Heroic are, how do I put this, unstable, and they have a tendency to collapse. Like, one of the biggest problems with a lot of the higher level players is that there's a little web of politics, and a lot of them hate each other. So
Oh,
Small
wow.
world at the top.
it's a small world at the top, and it's filled with grudges.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I'm trying out for a Nexus div team tomorrow.
Oh,
To be
cool.
a sub anyway. And they're
Actually,
looking for someone they could just mentor and stuff, and I was like, sweet. I'm pretty
yeah.
nervous about it, but it'll be fun.
I assume just sort of a flex DPS position.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Actually, there is one other beyond Junkrat that's probably worth picking up right now. Lunara's pretty good. And her damage is basically all spell power, so she makes for an interesting pseudo marksman.
Pseudo marksman.
Yeah. But she has good burst damage on her Q post 7. And between her Wisp, which makes her very gank proof, and her ult, which makes her very gank proof,
Right.
she's a welcome addition. But a lot of the other picks out there, whether it's Kael'Thas, Jaina, Azmodan, a lot of those guys are tech picks. Although if you're looking for a mage, I think Azmodan probably matches closest to Raynor. They both
Really?
have the
Oh.
the cheesy alts. Demonic Invasion on Azmodan is one of those
Oh,
things that
yeah.
seriously annoys any player at the top who can't macro. Because it's basically like, hello, I just walked onto your fort. I killed it. There's nothing you can do about it. You can kill me, but it's too late. Like, it's really
Right.
painful for fight-oriented people. But yeah. Still, I think if you're going into a season with the expectation to learn a few more champions for it, the ones you want to pick up are Sylvanas and Falstad first. They'll match your playstyle the best. It's just a matter of utilizing them effectively for your team.
Yeah. I almost feel like I need to like
Yeah.
change my play style
I mean,
because
the
like
fundamentals are there in terms of getting good chip and doing a lot to develop stuff. It's just a matter of refining that decision making. Like, you haven't,
right.
you're not a hyper carry player. That's for sure. That's not who you are right
Yeah,
now. And
it's not, but
you don't.
I feel bad because like they my team captain wants me to do way more I'm really not good at macro
Hmm?
right now, first off. And I think I'm trying to remember the heroes
Hmm.
he was wanting wanting me to learn, like he definitely wanted me to learn more burst mage
Hmm.
stuff. So I was practicing Jaina.
Janna's a good pick for that role. I would agree with that. Li Ming's often too high in skill cap, but actually, another one that's still good is Lunara. Like, let me see if I can get the right build for
Allies
it.
of the forest are
Sentinel
welcome.
Wisp is good because it controls rotations. Nature's Culling allows you to wave clear, probably a little bit faster than most. And Choking Pollen, if you ever proc that properly alongside a double leaping strike on a target, you can kill whatever you hit with your Q and both of your Rs. I think that one might actually be more important than learning Falstad. Sylve, though, probably should be your first pick.
Okay.
Because the big reason for Sylve is learning how to implement in team fights a good wailing arrow
The Dark
followed
Lady
by
watches over you.
a blow up on a marksman. Like, basically,
It's
so long as you can hit the silence on a healer, you stop the enemy team from being able to save whoever your kill target is. So it doesn't really matter if you can't deal the enemy kill target's health plus the healing if there is no healing to be played. You got me?
yeah.
Like, most effective deaths and most deaths that actually matter are the ones that happen nearly instantaneously. Because team fights that are long and spread out always favor the team that's already ahead. Because it means that more waves get pushed out, more catapults start hitting structures, more chip happens. And it means that you don't just need to win that team fight when you're behind, you need to win it with enough of a margin to actually level the playing field and then create an advantage, which is hard, especially if your
Right.
lanes are already pushed up. And that's
Yeah.
part of why Sylvanas, I think, would be extremely useful for you, because you can
I am not accustomed to waiting.
utilize black arrows to create an initial advantage, and a strong one at that. And you can also consistently snap pick kills even while behind. So it's a very versatile pick that, if you can get good at, will be an asset that will likely get banned by the enemy team every single
Right.
time.
So
Which,
like how does that work with like so when you have two DPS on the team, do you guys learn different heroes from each other?
well, that's actually one of the interesting questions. So let's take a peek at what we've done for DPS with CAFK over the years, just using us as an example.
Okay.
Because we've actually run a lot of players over the last 2 years. I've bursted a lot of eardrums, so... It's true, but let's take a peek, shall we?
You digress.
Uh,
Yeah, because I know our other DPS plays Sylvanas. It's interestingly though, he hasn't been picking her a lot during our team practices.
yeah. Well, the big problem with Sylvanas is he's not really a true marksman. She's not a Grey Maiden, she's not a burst damage mage. So she doesn't
Neither of
necessarily
us.
bring the full roster. So if, say, your Rainer is being picked, in addition to a Sylvanas, that's a disaster of a team comp when it comes to actually being able to win fights. Because you basically
Right.
have 3/4 of an actual DPS.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Because it's not really the fault of your micro, it's the limitations of Rainer as a character.
Right.
Like, if you're picking Rainer, you're picking it for two things. First, for Exterminator, and second, for Hyperion plus Execute Orders.
See,
You're you're
that's
picking
what I
it
was thinking is when
really
my
much.
captain was telling me that I should pick a different first talent so I can be uh do more damage
Well,
in team fights, I'm thinking I should probably just pick a hero that does more damage than right
that's
for
the right
team
way to
fights.
think about it, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause,
okay,
actually,
okay.
let's look at Rainer's talents globally. This is something that I haven't done in a while, because I haven't really
Globally?
thought about it. Like, I'm looking at Hero's profile,
Oh, I see.
seeing what the certain
Interesting.
talents are. So here's the thing about Rainer, and
Okay.
I'm pretty certain this is true for all levels of play.
Okay.
So here's the global win rates. Veteran Marksman is a trash talent. It has a 46% win rate. Ace in the Hole has a sub 50, and Exterminator sits at 52. However, taking Exterminator with Execute Orders has a 54% win rate. Huh. That I didn't expect. Apparently, the builds you're running, but substituting out Rainer's Raider for... Well, substituting out Hyperion for Rainer's Raider has a 8% win rate. That I don't understand, to be honest.
Wait, did you say Exterminator with the Raiders?
Yeah, because the Raiders, they do a lot of spell damage. They actually are quite nice.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you run that alt. It takes a little bit of micro to get used to, but you can use it as
I
scout
can't.
bushes as well.
I
Sorry?
can't technically. I'm not too bad at it, actually.
Yeah. It might be one way to compensate for the kit, because the biggest problem with Hyperion, and the biggest problem with the way you're using it, is if you're not using it for the Yamamoto blasts that it does on structures, that ultimate is wasted, frankly. I think I said that last time, but you can see with this game, with the previous game, you used it like 3 or 4 times in team fights just simply because you couldn't get close enough to the forts for it to matter.
True. I do try to use it on I would rather use it on forts, but then
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just pop it
But if you
because
guys are losing team
we're
fights so
having
you can't
trouble
step
and
up, yeah, or if you need to use it for clearing, the question then becomes, would it have been worth it in those cases to just have gone Rainer's Raider and said, screw it, I'll take
pick
something that
someone off, yeah.
gives more damage? Because the other advantage to those things is you can micro it and it can move quite fast to catch someone out. Like, you can
It's
send
true.
it forward to go for a kill that, say, the Diablo's diving for, that your main body can't go for.
Exactly. I've done that. Yeah.
So it might be worth taking it more
Okay.
often if you're forced to take Rainer and team fight with it, but I still think that running Exterminator and emphasizing camps and chip as much as possible is the way to go.
It's the
Knowing
best way
when,
to use him.
yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
the best way to use him, which is why you might need to have other tools in your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting pinged because they want me to go do in-houses.
What happened?
I'm getting pinged
Oh.
and it's annoying me. But Sylvanas, I could set you up. Hey, I'll ask Squirrel right now.
I just wasn't sure. How valuable that'll be if we already have someone who he
Actually,
plays. Let me see.
Actually,
Let me look at
so
his stats.
Junkrat, if that's a gap that you have, you really want to fill Junkrat.
Okay.
Because
Does he play Junk? I haven't seen him play Junkrat, and
if he hasn't played it, he probably won't. But the big advantages to Junkrat would be the trap build at this point. It's still, I think, Chattering
Build.
Teeth into
Trap
Sticky
build.
Wicket into God and Trap 'em all. Or taking Big As sometimes on certain maps.
No way, definitely not.
Because you can basically put down those 2 traps, deny area in a team fight, and make it impossible for someone to step up. The other thing is, have I mentioned anchoring to you before? Probably not. That didn't come up in concepts.
I think you did talk about it a little.
Like
Are you
the
talking
idea
about?
of a DPS that just sort of sits in one lane.
Yeah, and so like
and
you can attack
anti-pushes?
from behind the.
From behind the towers, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the concept's there. Junkrat is the pinnacle of anchors, and if your team plays Dragonshire at all, heck, if they play any map that has a big push lane, just taking Junkrat, throwing down traps on the on the objective, and just being an annoying zone denial tool is generally enough to create a huge advantage. There's a reason why it's sort of ubiquitous. Like, actually, I think I have a game that gives a good example of what anchors are supposed to do. Like, it was the first match of what we did versus Imagine. So, basically just sitting there defending it while the rest of your team has liberty to do whatever you want. Whatever they want, that is. That is quite useful, because you're a safe point. You're the point that just doesn't really get affected by whatever efforts the enemy team puts down. So, again, I think
he's played him before, but it's not. He plays Sylvanas and stuff a lot more.
so. The reason why I also mentioned Lunara as well as Falstad is Junkrat and Lunara are both good anchors, They can both
They're
fill
both
that
good
role.
anchors.
Sylvanas and Falstad are both good flex pseudo off lanes that can contribute in team fights in different ways.
Sylvanas and who?
Sylvanas and Falstad, like the four
Oh,
that
and
I typed
Falstad.
out. The four that I typed out, I think, are the ones that would most round out your roster. Knowing how to pick any one of them is key. Which one of them is the most important in any given team fight? That will
Right.
take more work. But developing that decision making, you can also do by sometimes taking Rainer's Raider instead of Hyperion. Using Rainer's Raider essentially as a measure when you know that your team is losing team fights and you can't approach with Hyperion effectively. Because there is another way that I could see you developing your skills as Rainer. That's the Lloyd way of playing. And Lloyd is a player
Lloyd
who...
way of playing.
Lloyd... Actually, do you know anything about Lloyd?
Me? No.
Lloyd, the player. So he is known for running it down on Rainer, like just jumping in and killing a fort and dying for it. Like, he's that kind of goes in on a
I've heard of
suicide
people
run.
doing that.
Yeah, it's cheese, and you have to be significantly more cunning and clever with vision control than your opponent in order to get good value on it. That's a skill that I think is ancillary to the fundamentals. Vision control is important for tanks, don't get me wrong, but for you, I still think learning how to play fundamentals of Flex is what's most important right now. So, leaning more into the cheese.
He said Sylvanas and Falstad is flex off lane?
Sorry, what I said?
Yeah.
So it's a flex pick is the way that I'd describe it.
Oh, flex
It's
pick.
Well, think about it like this. Typically what you're going to have in a team comp is the holy trinity of a tank, a healer, and a hyper carry. The DPS who the healer is constantly babying, keeping alive, so that they have a snap decision. Oh, the fight started, I go to support that one person. And I, as a tank, play around them. The purpose of the flex is to be the guy on the fringes who is independent and is filling the gaps of that three-man's macro. There's no reason for you to be just stacking as a four-man all the time, especially if the situation gets more complicated. And it's also important as a way to make decisions about who goes where quickly. Because think about it like this. Let's say you need to do two things at once. Defend a lane that's getting pushed by, I don't know, a Greymane, and take a camp. The assumption being that your hyper carry, which is likely going to be a marksman or something very, very similar, will be capable of taking the camp. Whatever your flex is, whether it's Falstad or Junkrat, is capable of responding to the push. So, it's dividing between two separate kinds of damage players is important because it allows you to make instantaneous decisions and informed decisions, mind you, about the general matchups. Who goes to clear wave, who goes to push and take camps. Does that spiel make sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
So-
I get it.
Your job is, as a flex player, essentially to fill in the gaps that the rest of the shot calling is mixing. The challenge, of course, is blending seamlessly back into your team comp. Like, you need to be there for fights, you need to have an impact, even more so than the offlaner, because sometimes that extra damage is the difference between winning and losing a fight. So, I'd say it's by far the most complicated position to play from decision-making perspective, because you are the person who is the most likely to have to do a play that immediately contradicts the call that's been made.
Oh, I see.
There's a reason why most of the people who have burned out for CAFK have been the ones in that role. because there's lots of people who are saying, yeah, no, I'm going to do something different from what you're calling, and yeah, that drives me off the deep end. Even though I know it's their job to fill the gaps in whatever I'm missing from a processing speed situation.
Oh shit.
Because at the end of the day, a match of Heroes of the Storm is more complicated than a human brain can fully process, and it moves faster than a human mouth can give orders for. So there needs to be a level of individual discretion at all levels of play. And figuring that out, making it working, is important.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
Kind of want to do in-houses at this point, but is there anything else that we could just discuss at this point?
In houses?
Yeah.
What's that?
Basically, there are a couple of pre-made lobbies that get created every now and then between players.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's essentially just a bunch of people in comms getting together and forming teams out of existing teams, players.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the one I'd go in is for our current Flex player, Justin, who runs his own with a bot, so the teams are actually randomly created. But let me see here. Oh yeah. Actually, let me give you an invite. These guys, Bunker Fun Time, do an open invitational in houses pretty much every Wednesday. So might be worth checking out.
Cool. Thanks.
Because it can give you a bit of, a sense for what competitive can be like.
Ah, I see. I see.
Because there are different approaches, there are different tricks. Like, I've incorporated a lot of stuff that I've just observed from other people's gameplay that generally I was casting. And I've learned a lot from even down to Div B. Because there are a lot of tactics in this game. And knowing how to respond to them correctly is rather important.
Right.
Like, one of the tricks that I saw very recently, which is sort of a very big Giga Brain move. So, one of the things you can do with Sylvanas, because of Black Arrows, is you can run at a tower and kill that tower from the first 30 seconds of the game. Ideally, you want your hyper carry with you, your tank anchoring for you, and your healer ready to bail you out when the enemy team responds. But one of the things that gets done in NGS that I've incorporated is setting the Sylvanas as a diversion and then having the rest of the team push the other side and taking out a tower. And you can do it right, so you have the Sylvanas show, you wait a few seconds for the enemy team to halfway respond to the partial push, and then you go into the other push and get the free tower because there's nothing they can do about it because they've rotated to the wrong side of the map.
Oh shit.
It is
That's
one of the most
diabolical.
It is one of the most annoying openers I have ever encountered in the game, and when it works, you know that you've completely upset the rhythm of the enemy team from the very start.
Oh my god. That's
So
funny.
that is something that you should probably look to try with your team at some point, because I don't know what people. I haven't watched enough games in Bronze to see how quickly people respond to Sylph Cheese, because people have gotten better at it. Like, there was a time when Sylph could get away with taking an entire 2 towers first, but the player base as a whole has really wised up to that kind of malarkey.
Right.
So the double cheese or the cheese layers is actually really quite effective at bamboozling even harder. It's not as effective though if people don't actually respond to Basilv though.
Right, right, of course.
It's a
'Cause then
mind
you
game.
Waste time. Then you waste time just sitting in places.
Yeah, and
You
more
could be doing other
importantly, the Sylv pushing with the Sylv with your entire team can allow you to take 2 towers. Like the
Exactly.
damage can be that big if nobody responds to it properly. But yeah, what else is there? I don't even know what to do for specific guidance for the four that I've recommended. Let me see here. Junkrat. I think the build that you might want to try out is this one, this one, this one, that. Followed by trap 'em all. How do you copy builds?
The gearbox in the top right.
Oh yeah, so that's the build I'd recommend for a starter for Junkrat. For Lunara, probably still Sentinel Wisp. Hippity Hoppity, sometimes situationally good. It might actually be better if you're not getting value out of the Wisp. Definitely still Choking Pollen. I believe in Leaping Strike over the other one. Abolish Magic, if you can learn how to use a cleanse, is cool, but I'd recommend starting with Spell Shield first
Okay.
while you're learning the fundamentals.
Fair.
And I don't know what the 16 or 20 is for the meta build. I've never checked, but I like Unfair Advantage into Intensifying Toxin. So,
That's the CDR at 16.
is it now? Wait, as in you mean
I
like
can't remember.
Accelerated Contamination? Yeah, I can
Oh,
see
I
that.
thought you said accelerate. Yeah, at the top, that's CDR, if I believe.
Mm.
Yeah.
That
For your
does look
Qs.
tempting. Oh my word, that actually amplifies your burst damage. That's probably
Right.
better than Unfair Advantage. Yeah, I'd do that
I
instead.
think you want unfair advantage. Maybe if you got the spread attack, I think at level 4.
Yeah, but wait, it's at level
Or
7.
it's 4 or
Yeah,
7. Maybe it
no.
is 7, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Unfair Advantage if you have to take Splintered Spear instead of Choking Pollen. That talent's really good for burst.
Yeah,
So,
choking pollen's amazing, but if you go Splinter Spear, then you can do the
yeah.
additional poison at 16 or something.
Now,
But if you're building into Qs, then you do a bunch of Q damage. Right? That's
let's
pretty
see
much
here.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, here's the Fall Stab build. This one's probably good to do. Actually, here's another important question. Do you think you could probably learn how to orb walk on other champs?
Orb walk
Because
on a. What does that mean?
you know how you're stutter stepping, like you move in between, you auto attack, you move, you auto attack, you move,
Yeah.
and you just add a little bit of a move command every time, just in between the refresh rate of your auto attack. Yeah, it's different
Yeah.
on every champion because the attack rate's different.
Yes.
As long as you can pick that up, most of the champions that have marksman builds, you can just simply play them almost identically once you get their rhythm down. This one's this talent's situational.
What does orb walk mean though?
It's weird. That's a term for stutter stepping that was in Dota.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
basically the
just
same
means
thing.
Stutter stepping. Okay, I thought maybe there was something like special with the stutter stepping you're doing.
There is something special about Dota stutter stepping, but I couldn't explain it properly.
Do you still play Dota?
I played a tiny amount of it in junior high school. I don't even know what my account is anymore. Like, I played a little bit of Viper, and that's it.
Yeah, I tried playing it at one time, and
It's exponentially more
I would be.
complicated than most MOBAs.
I was also like just tired. Like this game is going forever,
That's kind
and
of
the
funny.
pony's never back with my shit, and someone else took the damn pony that was carrying me some items. I'm like, I don't know, man.
And Sylvanas, I'm gonna hold out, but if I remember correctly, hyper carry build is this? You know what? No, I'm not even gonna give you a Sylph build until I have a good one from Squirrel.
Okie dokie.
Like, I won't bother with Sylph, but the fundamentals of the talents are taking the level 1 Q talent in an Unstable Poison as well as Wailing Arrow. Beyond that, I'm uncertain about how to play it. I do know that Cold Embrace is still really good, but I've also heard that Remorseless allows you to play like a hyper carry, so it kind of depends.
Okay.
So I'd work on those champions. There's some
Okay.
things about each one of them that I think are important to talk about when you've got games on them. Maybe
Okay.
we can look at those at a later date, though.
Okay. Yeah. For sure, I'll come
Yeah.
back.
Also, if you want to send your tank player my way / shot caller, I'd be more than willing to give them a critical.
I know, I told them.
Yeah.
Because I remember
Yeah.
how you were talking about, like, oh, I wish I could help you more, but, I tank. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like I can tell you the fundamentals, but I know that if I'm DPSing in in-houses or in an actual competitive match, I'm gonna have a rough time. Like
Right.
that first Nazebo game tonight was a fluke. Like I was playing as an anchor and I wasn't interacting with anyone, and I accidentally managed to kill Breakwood once. Like she's a much better player than I am on DPS. I got lucky once and managed to kill her with a full channel Ravenous Spirit.
Oh my goodness.
Like I know that she would take me to the
Hilarious.
cleaners under the vast majority of circumstances.
Right, right.
Anyways, where's my brain going? Yeah, so
Send my tank our tank player here. I've mentioned it.
yeah, there are 3 things that you're going to need to learn about each of the champions I've recommended. Sylvanas is the one that you can probably play the most easily once you get her micro down, like you're currently playing Raynor. That's the one you'll need the least amount of adjustment for, I think.
Which one do you think's the hardest from how I play?
Of those 3, I
Yeah.
think Junkrat is pretty easy for anybody to hit the skills floor for.
Mhm.
But learning how to use the W will probably take a lot of work for you, and micromanaging between auto attacks and Qs will also take work. Lunara, learning how to vision control with her will be hard, but her damage combos are pretty simple, and her superior movement speed to everyone else makes her pretty fun to play even if you're not particularly good. Falstad will probably be the hardest, because making decisions with his Gust and his global mount that allows him to, fly across the map, those will be the hard points, because those are big decisions that you have to make pretty much on your own. Like, somebody can ask for you to come topside and join the rest of the team, but ultimately, the only thing you can do to make that consistently work is, say, on Cursed Hollow, you can always decide to go to the lane that's opposite of the objective, so that you can draw someone to you, and then Z when the objective comes up. That's the one thing I'd keep in mind.
Okay.
For Falstad, that using his global is all about drawing someone away from the objective and then collapsing to create that advantage.
Right.
But yeah.
Are there this is like unrelated to my play. I just
Yeah.
was wondering because you hear different like stuff be thrown around. So like when people play Garrosh, should they not be throwing enemy heroes into the back line?
Depends on
Or
the
is
enemy
that
hero.
okay sometimes? Okay.
Garrosh is a hard tank, and I have avoided playing him because the decision making on his throw and his micro has absolutely demoralized me. So let's talk about Garrosh's throw for a second. So let's say, hypothetically, I threw the enemy Chromie into my backline.
Uh-huh.
That Chromie is dead. It doesn't matter what my backline is. The Chromie's gone. She's done. Now, if I do that to a Lunara, she'll press her ult on me if I don't get my combo off, and she's out. And I look like a bit of an idiot. But if I do it... But, here's the thing. If I do it on a Johanna that just cast Condemn, I just clumped up my own team, extended Johanna's engagement range. She's hit my entire team with Subdue, so they're basically rooted for like 2 seconds. And then she hits them with Radiant Faith, and her team has killed everyone on my team. So, for Garrosh, you need to be very careful with who you throw. You do not throw tanks into your backline unless your backline comprises of a Tychus and a Malthael and a Greymane.
I had a really funny game. It felt like I was pretty sure just the way he kept doing this. I was pretty sure he, for some reason, had some beef with our Li Ming because he kept throwing Diablo towards us, and our Li Ming kept almost dying, and I kept having to use my Q as Rainer to get her
Oh
Diablo off
goodness.
of Li Ming, and she
Yeah.
kept having to blink, and it was like, dude, what are you doing?
The thing is, though, there is actually one exception to the rule that I was talking about with Garrosh, which is being cautious about throwing tanks. If you have a Junkrat with traps, it doesn't matter who you've thrown. They're stuck on a trap now and they're dead.
Yeah.
Actually, on that subject,
That's disgusting.
if your team wants a non-macro champion for you to play, I'm not entirely against you taking Tychus, just doing W build, plus BTA, Commandeer Odin, and just going to town. Oh, Tychus? You basically just orbit around your tank, wait for them to engage, and then press D on whoever you want to kill. Tychus as a DPS is basically just a perfect add-on for a tank. He basically plays like a mage despite having more of a hybrid kit, just because of the
that's
sheer amount of damage
interesting.
he does instantly.
Is it true that double auto attack is worse than double mage?
Double marksman definitely is worse than double mage, but double mage sucks. Because the biggest problems with pure mages like Li Ming, Jaina, Kael'thas, is all of their damage, you use it, and it's gone. There's nothing coming
Right.
after you've unleashed your burst damage. Which means, if you need to shift targets mid-burst damage, or if you need to do a
Right.
little bit more if the fight goes longer than expected, or if you need to keep going because you have another target to kill, or if you need to siege a fort, you're kind of out of luck. You just don't have the tools to do it. Double marksman suffers from the exact opposite problem. You can't do enough damage instantly, so targets that should die don't die.
So me and my DPS sometimes, and this is probably bad, but sometimes I go Rainer and he goes Tychus.
An odd
For
lineup,
DPS.
but hey, if he can kill the enemy tank and you can kill the enemy forts, yeah, you're probably gonna still win the game. Honestly,
Oh,
it
I
really
see.
depends on the capabilities of your other DPS, and a lot of my advice is subject to change. Real talk,
Makes
though,
sense.
I think you should probably give each of the heroes I've recommended, I don't know, maybe 5, maybe 10 games to
I've
get the
10 games.
fundamentals down. And after that point, tell your shot caller / drafter to ring me up and I can help you guys set up some fundamentals to play maps. Because all you need to do...
I'll let him know. Our shot caller's not
Yeah.
our team captain.
Yeah, but whoever's drafting is important. Like, whoever picks the maps, whoever decides that shit. Because all you really need in order to be
that's our team
able
captain.
to win
Our shot
any...
callers.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to try to finish this point. All you really need to do in order to win a standard NGS best of 3 map, you just need to have 5 maps you have a plan on, and you're good to go.
Oh.
That's not true for the finals. A lot of those go to 5 for some reason. Like, it's a best of 5 instead of a best of 3.
Right.
But any team that is remotely competent will scout out and ban the 2 maps they think they're going to be the worst against you, which means you basically just need 2 maps which you can solidly beat the enemy team on, plus a third for backup in case you don't win on one of your 2 good ones. Also, having another map that you're good on means you can pick whichever map you think the enemy team is going to be the worst off on.
Right.
So you want a little bit of flexibility. You don't need to refine beyond 5 for the most part.
Is there a reason I don't see Chromie get picked?
Chromie is actually a
damage?
pretty good anchor, as well as a decent mage. I think she just doesn't get picked because she's hard to play.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
Flowing Sands
It
is
was
oppressive.
like bad or something.
her time traps give excellent vision control and point control, and her burst damage is nothing to scoff at. Only problem is, just mechanically more difficult to play than Jaina, which is basically just you roll your face over your keyboard and press all your buttons. I'm lying. Jaina isn't that easy, but it's pretty close.
No, I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
I mean, Li Ming players, hear me out. They basically all they do is bang their head against their keyboard, press all their buttons, kill a person, do it again, kill another person, do it again because the reset keeps giving it back, and by the time they have the concussion, everyone on the enemy team is dead. Rift, your laughter sounded like you were dying horribly.
It's just you caught me off guard with that one.
My bad, my bad.
Yeah, so anyways, there's a reason why Grey Color seems to be mildly stoned these days. He's done too much headbanging.
It's the face rolling, yeah.
Yeah, it's the face rolling.
Face rolling.
I burned him out. He didn't deserve it.
I'll let my shot caller know.
Yeah.
I've actually tried getting my team captain on board with getting coaching before.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, just general coaching. I think at that point I was trying to, with someone else, and he was like, no, we don't need coaching because we're so bad we need to work on our fundamentals. And I'm like, I thought that's why we need coaching.
I'll be honest with you, that's the rationalization I used with my team last season.
No.
Here's what you tell Tier's shot caller or team captain.
Team captain.
I'll actually write it out.
Click, 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 click.
This is from a heroic team.
Okay, this is from a heroic team. We need to practice more. Replay reviews can come when we've done the basics. Yeah, that's pretty much loses because they didn't say That's funny.
I mean, I'll be honest here. The fact that we haven't done any reviews for like 3 seasons has been a serious detriment to our team.
Really?
Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
like, we lost that game. We know the reason why we lost that game. Let's not look at it anymore.
Yeah, that was pretty much like.
Because here's the thing:
we need to just.
For a lot of people,
work on
just
our
looking at
basics.
your own play is really painful because you see all the mistakes that you made in the moment, and you don't fully understand. Yeah, you made those mistakes because you have a finite processing capacity, and you're gonna make some mistakes at every level. Like everybody screws up. It's just a question of degrees and when.
Here's my problem with me watching my own replays. It's not that it hurts me. It's not painful. It's the fact that I'm not skilled enough to know what I did wrong. I can walk away from a replay and be like, I tried my best. I guess the other team was just more skilled. And then come away with just that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any, like, oh, we should have done, like, I mean, like, there's some maybe basic, like, maybe we could have done this or that. But
Yeah.
I cannot. But when someone else who's ranked higher than me looks at my replay, they can really point out some things that I didn't even, or like I thought that was a good thing that I did and it really wasn't, or
because the long-term implications are obvious to someone who's walked down that road multiple times, more or less.
So I've learned a lot from someone who's telling me, like, pointing out all these things, and there's obviously a lot of things that I didn't even know that was like a thing, and they're like, you didn't know, for instance, like some of the map stuff.
Yeah.
That there's the WoW map that I didn't know that the core had armor. I didn't really pay attention. She's like, well, what do you think those 3 shields are? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't really look at it. I thought some of this stuff was just like, I don't know,
So,
detail.
what do you do
or
when trying to end an
prettiness.
all track? Do you hit the core directly, or do you kill that keep at 10% HP?
Wait. Say
So,
again?
all track, the World of Warcraft map, the one that you're talking
Yeah.
about. You're trying to
Okay,
end.
what were the choices?
Your
Okay.
choices are hit the core directly, or hit that for the keep at 10% HP.
Do we already have a keep down?
You have a keep down, but you don't have two. Like,
Okay,
let's say
we
you
need
have
the second one down.
you need the second one down because you need to end with
Yeah.
it. Now, there is one exception that you probably don't know about.
What?
You can sometimes end directly using the Knoll camp, going straight through mid, because the armor shred on the Knolls is generally enough to bring core into killable range.
Wait.
Very rarely, Knolls are enough to kill. So
Oh, I didn't know their armor
yeah,
affects buildings.
yeah, their armor shred
God.
affects buildings,
Yeah.
which is why they're so scary as a push tool.
I
And-
didn't know that.
Yeah, so
I know it's not
really
competitive, but is that the
important-
same on
Braxis
Warhead
and Warhead? Yes.
and Brexis? Yeah. Okay.
So the way I see it, there are two types of camps: camps that amplify a push, and camps that force you to react to them. So the quote-unquote bruiser camps on StarCraft maps, the one with the Ravens and the 3 Goliaths,
Yeah.
those are split push camps in the same way that the siege camps are on Diablo-based maps and standard Nexus maps with the siege giants.
Okay.
So those camps are really good at creating independent pushes. The camps that amplify are the ones that shred armor, and the ones that grant spell shields. Because those spell shields are big, because they mean that basically that mage that's supposed to do the wave clear can't do the wave clear anymore. Like, they're really nasty when you have a push with
Right.
them and a marksman doesn't go to respond to them. So, yeah, where's my brain going with it? Like, that's one of the other things that I should have commentated about with the game that we just watched over. When you take the Bruiser camp, like the big ones, onto the Spider Queen or what have you, you should go with that camp and push with it until the mage is dead. Because
Okay, yeah,
that's
those
an
are the ones
entire
you push.
safe zone. I mean, look at the enemy team with their
Right.
Kael'thas and their Nova. They're like so much spell damage. You can basically walk in and you have like 20% more HP because of that armor. Heck, it's probably more when your Lucio heals you.
Wait. 20% more for the hero?
Because think about it like this. Yeah, it's in a field that gives spell armor to everyone, including heroes.
I thought it. Oh,
It's waves and it's heroes. They're really good to push with.
I thought it was just waves.
Yep, it's also heroes.
Well, shit.
One more thing.
That's kind of what happened on Tomb of the Spider Queen when you guys got the turn in and they had that to help defend that middle keep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever noticed that then.
Because I'll be honest, I don't think I'm necessarily going to be able to help you guys with replay reviews when the season starts. I might be busy dealing with my own shit at that point, whether it's university work, casts that I want to do for NGS in general, and,
Wait, you're
my
gonna
own
cast?
games. Yeah, I've casted a bit last season. It was pretty fun.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
He's being modest. He casted like 4th or 6th most out of all the casters.
Yes, I know, and it meant that my life was extremely high stress come April because I had a lot of essays to do, and I was still doing casts for some reason.
Ew, essays.
Yeah, I'm a humanities student going into law eventually, so yeah, it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
Writing is par for the course. So, what I would like to do with replay reviews and what I'd hope to see happen is that, I can give your team a direction and some fundamental strategies to implement, and you can work and refine on those and introspect them on your own because you already have those fundamentals mastered. I think learning those 4 heroes should be enough to allow you to tip the tide in a lot of games.
Okay.
Beyond that, there's Also learning either a proper mage like Jaina or a tank killer like Tychus. So I'd say
Sounds
keep your focus narrowed down on those 6 champions when it comes to mastery beyond Raynor.
okay.
And you will have
Right,
a
right,
yeah. If you do that, you will have a roster that won't be bannable by an enemy team,
right.
and you should be good to go.
Oh, I have one more question. Just one
Yeah.
more question. I play Zagara. What do you think about Zagara?
Perfectly
I
good
also
substitute for either Junkrat or Lunara, and also a
okay.
perfectly good counterpick into either of those two. Use her as an anchor, because her movement speed combined with her banelings, combined with her creep, all of those things make her very safe as a static defense target.
I
You can also
see.
use her as a sort of split pusher. You can set up a Nidus network on a lot of maps, which will allow you to simultaneously create that pressure, like I was talking about with Falstad, break someone down, go up, and create a problem for the enemy
Okay.
team as they fight 5v4. There's a lot of implementations you can do there, and if you're already good at it, feel free to play it in the same sort of style as either an anchor or as sort of a flex split push into team fighter.
Okay.
Actually, Zag, do you know what the right build is for her, though? Because that's an important question.
Okay, so I can tell you what I have.
Run? Cool.
Let's see, play. Where's my Zag?
Yeah.
Okay, so
How may I
the first
assist
talent I
you?
go is Corpse Feeders.
I think I know where this is going.
Infested, drop cooldown, reduced, increase roachling health.
Yeah, I've got her talents right here, so I can read them if I don't remember any of them.
Oh, okay, good, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
The second one I take is Envenomed Spines.
That's fine. The actual talent on that tier isn't very important because they all just enhance her existing capabilities.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
good burst
okay.
damage. It's
Yeah.
fine. Sometimes you might want to do Medusa Blades. Serrated
I
Spines
actually
is kind of bad, though.
preferred Medusa Blades before, but then they wanted me to do more hero damage, so then they had me take Envenomed Spines for
Venom
those.
Spines is good burst damage. There's no reason to really worry about it, but sometimes it's worth taking Medusa if you have like a Greymane or a Vala in as the other DPS.
Why is that?
Because if you're the only source of wave clear, you want to make sure that you can do it quickly and efficiently so you can rejoin the rest of your team.
Oh, for yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
used to use the Medusa Blades for. I thought you meant
Yeah.
to kill them, and I'm like, I would think Envenomed
Yeah.
Spines would be faster.
Yeah. I'm
trying to
talking
kill them
about
all.
using
I
it
got you.
for strategic rotations. So beyond
Okay.
that,
I
10?
take Viscous. Oh,
Oh,
10.
Viscous?
Acid.
Yeah, Baneling Massacre is not that great, and Bile Drop is hard to stack. Okay,
Is
what?
Viscous Acid the pick there then?
Slow. Well, there is a build that I have in mind, but we can get to it when we look at the rest of the talents.
Okay, okay. Then I usually take Nidus Network.
Yep, that's completely fine.
Hydralisk Transfusion.
Not sure about that one, but I don't know how good the 13s are. I've never been able to decide on that one. I'd have to ask Justin, because he can actually play it. And beyond that,
Corrosive Saliva.
Yep.
And Pack Instinct.
And yep. Those are the two big power spikes for Zag.
Okay.
Bile Drop,
That's good.
instead of Viscous Acid, can potentially amplify Corrosive Saliva a bit if you can get those 12 hits with Infested Drop. That's a big if. If it's not achievable by the time you get 16, the talent wasn't worth it.
Oh, I see.
There is a I forget what player, maybe it's Mandara that plays this a lot of Zag. And there's a one replay review he did with Kyle Ferguson on D Shire with Zag.
Yeah.
He says he likes Bile Drop even if he doesn't finish the quest, mainly for the range.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't it
maybe a little more
the
situational?
radius? But it's a radius increase.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
The
that's what I meant.
radius increase
Yeah.
of 20%.
That was probably worth doing because at the very least, you don't really need the extra 25% slow most of the time. It might be worth picking that up and seeing if you can make that one work. Because it can seriously amplify the power of Corrosive Saliva if you have one more Roachling doing that damage.
Okay. Okay.
It's
see.
worth considering that talent.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Some of the players at the top level use it. Madara being, GM number 1, as Rift mentioned. So,
I see.
it seems to me like you have what's right for Zag at that point, so
Ooh.
yeah. Go to it. And
Is there good because I was told that if I do pick what's it called? Maw?
Uh,
Devouring Maw. Um
yeah, there
I
are
was
maps where I
told
do
that
it.
I was told that it depends on who she's paired with too, and that it
Yeah.
like someone else needs to start something before I do the Devouring Maw.
I mean, starting with Maw's not necessarily a bad idea because
Really?
Mm-hmm.
using it as an opener, yeah, it's perfectly reasonable because if you use Maw to undercut somebody else's ability, you're taking away from total potential damage. But you can use Maw to set up for the rest of your team to do a deadly combo. Like if you Plus,
Yeah, I
there are some
was
scenarios
told.
where, from out of vision, you can put down a maw on a choke point, catch 3 people, and then kill those people with the rest of your team.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was told that it's hard to land.
It
So
is.
I need someone to like set up like an initial CC.
Correct
for
me if
the-
I'm wrong, Osmanthus, but would you agree? It's not. I wouldn't call it like an engage tool. Like you don't. You may not start the fight with just a maw while
It's
everyone's
not an
got full
engaged
HP.
tool.
Right. It's like counter
It's
engage.
like what's the difference between ETC's Power Slide and Mosh? It's a tool that you use to. It's a wombo tool, first and foremost, is the way I
Okay.
describe it. Like, once you know you've got them in your sights, you do it. And there are a number of places where you can rip a maw raw. Again, choke points. You rip it from out of vision, like from a bush. You rip it when you know that the enemy team's stuck on a boss point or a camp
Oh
point.
yeah.
There are lots of situations that you should be looking for where you know what the enemy team is going to do and they don't know what you're going to do. Those are the moments that you want to seek for to
Okay.
land hard skill shots like Maw or your Bile Drop. Because in those moments, you can actually see slightly into the future and you can land a lot of damage for free without crowd control. At the very least, that's how less skilled players like myself do it when we're on DPS. But I know that some of the best Ming
I'm
players.
also a less skilled
Yeah.
player.
I know that some of the best Li Ming players that I know basically just throw their orbs out from out of vision. Same deal with Chromie players as well. Like they just throw it over a wall and the enemy team can't see it until it passes through the wall. It's really
I've always
nasty.
wondered about that because I've
Yeah.
always told that Li Ming orb build is a bad build.
I mean, yeah, it is in comparison to what Li Ming's full potential is. Like,
I got you.
because Li Ming's full potential is, oh, your front line just died? I guess I'll kill your entire team here and now. Like, a good Li Ming is literally gigantic anxiety fuel because you know if she gets a reset, she's gonna get another reset and another, and there's nothing left.
Right.
It's
I guess I was
so
surprised
frustrating.
because as Rainer, like I've ran into Li Mings that they'll do the orb through walls and shit, and I
Yeah.
die to that, and I'm like, no.
So what you want to do when handling those kind of players is
Yes.
the walls have spears and spikes and stakes. The walls are dangerous. And that is something that you probably should emphasize as a DPS player, that walls are not your friend. They may
Right.
feel nice, they may feel safe, but here's what they really are. They're a trap. They are limiting your options, they're limiting the directions you can dodge in, and they are
Right.
concealing vision that could be used against you. So,
Yeah.
walls are dangerous. You want to keep yourself concealed using them, but you don't want to let the other guys get concealed with them.
True. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Good point.
Anyways, I think
All right.
if we're done, I'll try to make sure that I have a more permanent copy. So I'm probably going to send this one to the YouTube exports immediately. I'll send you that VOD whenever it's prepared so that you can re-listen to any of these particular moments if you ever feel the need to. We've covered a lot of ground.
Okay.
Best that you have, markers to look back and review the pieces again. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. Thank you so much. And I'll let my team I'll remind my team captain, like, hey, by the way, we could still
Yeah.
do coaching, man.
Yeah. Well, here's how I'd frame it. Tell him that the drafter. Tell him that the assistant captain for a heroic team is interested in setting up game plans for the rest of the season. Like, don't frame it in terms of coaching. Frame it in terms of tangibly preparing for the season and building strategy for the season. Because that's what's more important. Like, I wasn't sold on doing drills when my offlaner suggested the idea until we actually thought about doing things that tangibly could help improve micro. Like, just because you know something is good doesn't mean that you don't know how to get to it.
Right.
And that you don't know the immediate value of it. And how easily actionable it is. So,
Right.
that's the last important thing. Frame it in sort of a future-oriented, let's set something up that you can use for the rest of the season kind of deal.
That sounds very vague.